Hi, everyone. It's Paul Ward here, and welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes. I'm very excited today. We have a special guest, Mariana Hermosillo with Goosehead Insurance. And today we're going to be talking about insurance, specifically in California, what's happening in our local California market, and also some tips for getting insurance in this difficult environment. So we're going to be discussing fire insurance, earthquake, as well as flood. And Mariana's been in the business for over 21 years, so she's definitely an authority on this topic. And Mariana, welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
So did I get all that right? You've been in the business for 21 years and you know what you're talking about.
Yes, 21 years. And yes, I do hope I know what I'm talking about. I can say I'm an expert.
So well, thank you again. So give us a little bit of background for those folks that are not aware of what's happening in the insurance industry in California. Maybe you could explain to folks out there what's been happening for the last couple of years, and it seems like it's definitely a changing environment, to say the least.
Yes, Paul. Unfortunately, I never thought I'd see the day where big folks, big insurance companies would stop writing business in California, since we are one of the biggest markets when it comes for insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the big names had stopped writing business temporarily in the state of California due to increasing rates, of course, with inflation,
Mm-hmm.
and of course claims. They want to keep their their insurability and their A-rated name, and they want to make sure that they can still continue to be successful. So for now, they're just pausing any new business in California for the time being.
They realized they were not going to get their not get their
correct.
proceeds back.
That is correct. Yeah, insurability is a big name. If you are not an A-rated carrier, or you fall off the admitted carrier list, and then there are some companies that are not willing to do insurance with you when it comes to, for example, just writing business with escrows or insuring new homes in California. A lot of escrow and title companies, unless you're an admitted carrier, they will not allow that policy to insure the property that they're closing escrow on. So a lot of these companies that have been around for many years, they want to keep their insurability, their admitted carrier status, and of course, being able to cover claims. So yeah, yes, you're correct.
And just to clarify, you're a broker, so you shop around, right? You're not limited to your own internal programs. You can shop all of the different insurance companies that service California. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, you're correct, Paul. I am an insurance broker, which allows me to have more than one insurance carrier to provide insurance to many of my clients. And one of the pluses, or the plus in order to be a broker, is that, as we all know, we all have different needs and different insurance necessities. So one of the biggest perks of being able to shop with the broker is that, just like myself, we have more than one carrier, and we can tailor that policy for that particular client's needs.
Okay. And so if folks are looking to buy in California, obviously, fires is a big part of reality now. These, big fires, and a lot of carriers have left California because of just the threat of fire. And we never had this, 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You are still able to get insurance, right, with the carriers that remain. What would be some tips for folks to look out for when not just getting homeowners insurance, but specifically fire insurance?
One of the biggest things is, when you're shopping for insurance, is knowing that your price per square footage. Knowing your square footage is one of the biggest things when shopping for insurance. That's the biggest tip. Know the amount that you're being insured for per square foot. Maybe consult someone like yourself. Call Paul and ask, hey, Paul, what is the square footage, or the price per square footage? And always make sure that that is equal to the amount that you're being insured for. Now, one of the biggest tips that I tell my clients is if you are buying $1 million home and the dwelling coverage for the home is not $1 million, always remember that the price includes the land, but what we're insuring is the actual structure. So if the equivalent of that policy is not $1 million, that's okay. We're insuring the structure. So that's one of the biggest tips is knowing your square footage, knowing what your home is being covered per square foot. That is one of the biggest tips that I can give anyone shopping for homeowners insurance right now.
So when you say square foot, are you talking about replacement value? So
yes,
the cost of replacing the home is $400 a square foot, or $500 or $600 a square foot. So what's
yes,
it going to cost
correct.
to rebuild your home if it's a total loss?
That is correct. And many of my carriers, or most actually, we run what's called an R.C.E, which is a replacement cost estimator. So anytime that any client comes and asks me to provide them an insurance quote, I always run an R.C.E report to make sure that we are insuring it for the correct amount. And it's usually up to date with, today's market price. So therefore, we are properly insuring it for the correct amount, and you're never really uninsured.
Gotcha. So when it comes to flood insurance, would you need the same amount of coverage? I mean, I imagine if you're located on the edge of a river or maybe at the ocean, maybe there might be a total loss. But for somebody in kind of a residential neighborhood, I mean, your house isn't going to just wash away. Would you need the same amount of coverage?
And unfortunately not. Most carriers will only, not all, but most flood carriers will insure a policy up to $250,000 only. So when you are shopping for flood, you want to ask your broker or your insurance agent, what program are you being placed in? Because there are a lot of flood insurance carriers that will not insure you up to your replacement coverage or your rebuilding cost.
Oh, interesting. Good to know. And then with earthquake, I mean, that could be a total loss, or it could be just a partial loss. Maybe your chimney falls over, but the rest of the house is okay.
Right.
We haven't had a big earthquake in quite a while, so I know we're due. Fingers crossed, doesn't happen. How does that work? What kind of? And I think there's a big deductible too for earthquake. Is that correct?
That is a big yes. That's correct. So with earthquake, unlike flood, we are supposed to match your dwelling coverage to the amount of dwelling for the earthquake insurance. So whenever one of my clients, whenever I write an earthquake policy, I make sure that I have the deck page so that I can make sure I'm insuring that coverage A for the same exact amount that I'm covering their earthquake insurance. And deductibles, great question. Deductibles do fluctuate. They can go anywhere from 5 to 25% of the dwelling amount. So if your coverages have, 500,000 and you choose a 10% deductible, just know that it's off that $500,000 price or coverage. Yeah.
And are there any things that folks can do to get maybe a little bit of a break, like bolt their house to a foundation or anything to kind of get that premium down?
Yes, of course, being retrofitted, it's important. Making sure that they have those earthquake valves that shut off your gas, shut off the, just making sure that you have that valve is very important. I know it limits about 10 to 15%, depending on the carrier, give you a discount. Of course, deductibles, the higher the deductible, the better your premium is as well.
What other tips can you give folks when they're looking for coverage?
One of the biggest things that I always tell them is make sure that you are giving your agent or your broker accurate information. A lot of people forget to actually mention if they've had new upgrades done to their property. For example, any new plumbing, your roofing, your electrical, those are big things. And those can save the homeowner a lot of they can give you a discount and save you quite a bit of premium if you provide that information. Also, make sure that your deductible is higher than $1,000. I'm seeing quite a bit of deductibles still at $1,000, and I don't recommend anyone having $1,000 deductible because nowadays a lot of insurance carriers are dropping consumers based on the claim just a claim reoccurrence. So the more claims that you have, you can become uninsurable. So
Mm.
having anywhere from a $2,500 deductible to maybe about $5,000, that will save our homeowners quite a bit of money as well. So always, like I said, provide them your most updated roofing, electrical, plumbing. Those are big things. I've been seeing quite a bit of ADUs being also built. So if you are building an ADU to your current home, that can give you a bundle discount. That can give you multiple policy discounts as well. So that can be another way of our consumers saving quite a bit of money on their premiums.
Oh, interesting. With so many years in the business, of course, you know how to look at the policies. I'm sure more than the layperson. If folks have questions, can they reach out to you and ask about their particular policy?
Absolutely. I pride myself of being an agent that keeps herself really well educated when it comes to the changes or any of new upcoming things. So if a client may have not have had a new or a renewal sit down with their current agent, they can call me. I'd be more than happy to go over their policy, let them know what's being covered under their current policy, what might not be covered. Because as you know, many times we are not looking at those deck sheets until we have a claim or we get denied for a claim. So it's important that anytime that anyone has a renewal, that they can check with their current broker or simply give me a call, and I'd be happy to go over that with them as well.
Wonderful. And I have to ask about the high fire zones. I should have asked about this earlier. What if there is no insurance carrier that will cover a home that's sitting up against a hillside or in a wooded area? What do folks do then?
And that's a great question, because as you know, we're kind of in our county, we're surrounded by quite a bit of them. Know that there is the California Fair Plan, and I am credited with them, so I am able to provide coverage with the California Fair Plan. So no one will be left uninsured if they are in a high fire zone or a high fire area.
And does that work the same, where it still makes sense to have a high deductible? Or does the California Fair Plan just have very specific rules that, one size fits all?
No. Still having a high deductible will still save premium. Absolutely. Great question.
Good to know. So Mariana, how do folks get in touch with you if they have further questions or want to reach out and get another quote?
So if they'd like to get a hold of me, they can call me at 805-394-8806. Or they can reach me by email at mariana.hermosillo@goosehead.com. Or they can simply Google my name, Mariana Hermosillo, Goosehead Insurance, and that Google page will take them straight to my Goosehead agent portal. And on that agent portal, they can actually contact me directly as well. There is a tab to get an instant quote just by providing their name and their address or their property address, and it'll automatically filter through my email, and then we can actually start chatting from there as well.
Wonderful. And I would assume you serve all of California.
That is correct. All of California.
Well, great. We'll be sure to put those links right below the video here, so folks can reach out if they have questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So Mariana Hermosillo, thank you so much for being our guest on this 15 minutes. And we hope that folks find it interesting and educational and helpful. And of course, be sure to tune in for our next episode.